Hello there, welcome back to our tutorial series on YouTube brought to you by the O3 Schools JAMB app. I believe by now we've all downloaded our apps and we're practicing with the app. So our today's topic is Resuscitation Miracles. Resuscitation simply means to restore consciousness. Resuscitation simply means to restore consciousness. It means reviving a dead or an unconscious person. Now, Jesus performed resuscitation miracles, proving that he had power over, or he had dominion over death. We'll look at some of the miracles of resuscitation that Jesus performed, starting with raising Lazarus. In John chapter 11. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. Now, Lazarus was sick in Bethany, and his sisters, Mary and Martha. They sent message to Jesus that he whom Jesus loved was sick. Now, when Jesus heard the message, he said the sickness was not unto death, but for the glory of God. And although Jesus loved Lazarus, Mary, and Martha, Jesus loved Lazarus and his sisters, he remained where he was for 2 days before deciding to head back to Judea, where Lazarus lived. Lazarus was in Bethany. Lazarus was in Bethany. Now, when his disciples heard that he was going back to Judea, they asked him why he would want to go there, knowing fully well that the Jews wanted to stone him to death. And Jesus told them that he who walked in the day would not stumble. Also, Lazarus was asleep and he wanted to go wake him up. His disciples didn't understand, and they felt like, okay, if Lazarus could sleep, that means he would soon be well. And Jesus explained to them plainly that Lazarus had died. And since he, that's Jesus now, was not there when Lazarus died, people will be able to believe the miracle he was going to perform. Now, when Jesus got to Bethany, where Lazarus had died and he had been laid in the tomb 4 days. Bethany was close to Jerusalem, so many Jews came around Mary and Martha to comfort them. First, Mary was the first to hear about Jesus coming, and then she went to meet Jesus where he was, and she told him that if Jesus had been present, her brother would not have died. And Jesus told her that her brother would live again. She thought Jesus was talking about resurrection on the last day, but Jesus told her that I am the resurrection, and if anyone believes in me, though they may die, they would live again. She asked Martha if she believed, and she said yes, she believed. She then ran to tell Mary that Jesus was around and he was calling for her. Mary rose quickly to go to Jesus, but the Jews around her, comforting her, thought she was going to the tomb to cry again by herself, so they also followed her. When Mary got to where Jesus was, she said the exact same thing that Martha did. She said if Jesus was around, her brother would not have died. Then she wept at the feet of Jesus, along with the Jews that had come with her. This troubled Jesus, and he asked to be taken to the tomb where Lazarus was buried. When he got there, Jesus wept, and then the Jews began to murmur among themselves about why Jesus couldn't help Lazarus, even though he had been performing miracles. Jesus then asked for the stone sealing the tomb to be rolled away. And when the stone was rolled away, Jesus lifted up his eyes, gave thanks to God, and cried out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he did. That was how Jesus rose Lazarus from the dead. Then we have raising of Jairus' daughter. In Mark chapter 5 and Luke chapter 8. Now, Jairus was a leader. Jairus was a ruler in the synagogue. Jesus was a ruler in the synagogue, and he begged Jesus to come to his house because his only daughter was dying. Jesus went with him, but along the way, while they were going, the multitude thronged Jesus, like they kept pressing him, and a woman touched the hem of Jesus' garment. She had had the issue of blood for over 12 years, and she had spent all she had looking for a cure. She just believed that if she was able to touch the hem of Jesus' garment, she would be healed. And immediately she did, the blood flow stopped. Now, Jesus turned around asking who had touched him because he had felt power leave him. So the woman came forward and explained to Jesus why she touched Jesus' garment. Jesus told her that your faith has made you whole. Now, while they were there, a message came from Jairus' house that his daughter was already dead and there was no need to bring Jesus anymore. But Jesus told Jairus, if you believe, your daughter will be made whole. So they continued on to Jairus' house, and Jesus went in with Peter, James, and John, as well as the parents of the girl. He told those around weeping not to weep anymore, for the girl wasn't dead, she was only sleeping. Instead, they ridiculed him. They felt like he didn't know what he was saying because he had not seen the dead body that they had seen. So he sent them away. Then he went into the room where the little girl was, and he took her hand, saying, "Little girl, arise." And she arose. Jesus then asked for her to be fed and also warned the parents not to tell anybody about what had happened. Jesus also raised a widow's son at Nain. Raising the widow's son at Nain, recorded in Luke chapter 7. Now, Jesus came to the city of Nain with his disciples and a large crowd following him. When they came near the gate, a dead man was being carried out, and he was the only son of his widowed mother. When Jesus saw her, he had compassion on her, and he asked her not to weep anymore. He then touched the open casket where the widow's son was, and he ordered the young man to wake up. The young man got up, and fear came upon all that were present. They glorified God, saying, a great prophet had risen among them. A great prophet, referring to Jesus now, had risen among them. These are resuscitation miracles carried out by Jesus. Resuscitation simply means to restore consciousness, and Jesus raised Lazarus, he raised Jairus' daughter, as well as the widow's son at Nain. Now to the O3 Schools JAMB app to check for questions that have been asked previously on resuscitation miracles. The raising of Lazarus illustrates that Jesus A. loved Mary and Martha, B. was a good friend of Lazarus, C. is the giver of life, D. was a person of emotion, C. he is the giver of life. Before Jesus raised Jairus' daughter, the people mocked him because he A. told them that the girl was not dead but sleeping, B. rebuked them for weeping and mourning over the dead, C. did not pray before performing the miracle, D. did not arrive at the place before the girl died. A. because he told them that the girl was only sleeping, that she was not dead, they ridiculed him, they mocked him because of that. Jesus raised to life the son of the widow of Nain because A. he wanted the whole of Judea to know about him, B. he wanted to show that he was a great prophet, C. he had compassion on the mother, D. he loved the young man that died. The answer is C. he had compassion on the mother. The prayer of Lazarus was that God should raise Lazarus from the dead so that A. Lazarus' life would be restored, B. the people standing by would believe that God sent him, C. the people would honor him as the Son of God, D. the name of God might be glorified. And the correct answer is B, so that those standing by would believe that God sent him. Many more questions on the app, so if you are yet to download, please go to Play Store, download the O3 Schools JAMB app.